I'm going to drain this Pebble Tech pool down and give it an acid wash. Got a lot of staining on the bottom of the pool and discoloration. And you can rent a sub pump at Home Depot or from your local pool store if you don't have one. Just drop in a deep end like this. So for the chlorine wash, you're going to need some gloves, a mask, and a good brush to scrub the walls of the pool to get all that algae off. And the chlorine I use from the pool store is 12.5% chlorine. And both for the chlorine wash and the acid wash, you're going to need a good pair of rubber boots. You can get them at a Walmart or Army surplus store. And you need these definitely because you're going to be walking in water when you get to the deep end. You can also use a flower pot and dilute some chlorine with the water when you do the chlorine wash. But this algae was so bad I just went for straight chlorine to pour it on there. It was ingrained in the Pebble Tech really bad. The first thing I'm going to do is a quick chlorine wash on this before I do the acid wash. There's quite a bit of algae that was in this pool. I want to get that all cleaned up before I start the acid wash. I got a fresh case of liquid chlorine. I'm going to pour it on directly onto the algae and brush it off. I'm going to brush it off really good. It's important we kill all this algae before we do the acid wash on this pool. So kill all the algae spores and all the algae that's here. You can see a big area here of algae. I'm going to brush it vigorously in there to get all that algae out. I guess I used a case of chlorine in this pool to do the chlorine wash. I'm going to rinse it real quick. Okay, so that looks a lot better. I got all the algae off of there. And now it's ready for the acid wash. Very important, you got to do a chlorine wash first. You can't just do an acid wash to get rid of the algae. You got to use chlorine and then the acid wash comes next. Okay, these are the supplies you're going to need for your acid wash. You need a pair of rubber boots because you're going to get wet when you go in the deep end by the sump pump. A pair of gloves for the acid. Flower pot for the acid. This plaster white and bright by Biodex, it actually thickens the acid solution, takes away the fumes, and it helps with the acid wash. In this 10-pound bag of soda ash, you're going to need to neutralize the acid as it's being pumped out from the bottom of the pool, and also put some in once you start filling the pool to neutralize any acid residue. I'll show you how I will use soda ash. Basically, you want to use 2 pounds of soda ash for every 1 gallon of acid you use for the acid wash. You need about a case of acid. And you need a good scrub brush to brush the pool as the acid is running down out the sump pump to kind of scrub the plaster. This job I'm going to use a 3-to-1 solution. 3 parts water, 1 part acid. And you'll need a mask to keep the fumes out. I use this World War II gas mask. If you don't have a full gas mask, you can use a good carbon filter. This one's really good, made by Christie's. You can get it at Lowe's or Home Depot. And a pair of safety goggles. I use these AOS approved safety goggles. Now the directions on the Biodex says to put 1 gallon of acid with 2 gallons of water in a bucket, and to put 8 ounces of this in there. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to add it to the acid solution in the watering pot. I'll just add a couple ounces in there and stir it up that way. And you can rent a sub pump from Home Depot or a local pool store. I think it's around $30 a day. You'll need it for a couple days, one to drain it and one while you do the acid wash to drain the acid out when you finish the wash. You're going to want to clean your filter before you put everything back on. So before you drain the pool, clean the filter out. And this is pretty much a good attire for the acid wash. I got full-length gloves, long sleeve shirt, long pants, and I got my boots on. I'll put my mask on in a minute. So basically your job as the hose guy, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this acid, I'm going to pour it to here. And then right when I finish, you put the bucket down, and I get my scrub brush, which is over there, and then you're going to hose it off right after.
After you scrub it?
When I grab the brush, that's when you hose it off.
Okay.
I'm going to scrub it while you're hosing it down, that way it doesn't treat the plaster. Okay, so let me get my brush. Put a little bit of the Biodex plaster white and bright here. Kind of thin out the acid that goes into the area here. Pump is off right now. Take the light fixture off. Sometimes you get streaking right here on the bottom. I'll just put a little bit of this here to protect the light from getting streaks. I'll put a little soda ash on the fixture, that way it doesn't get... I'm going to go ahead and put some soda ash in here on the bottom to neutralize the acid as it's going in here. About 1 pound right now. I'm going to go ahead and add a couple ounces of this into the pot where I'm going to pour the acid. I have already, it's 3/4 full of water. It's a gallon watering jug, so I'm going to put 1 part acid, so it's going to be a 1 to 3 mixture. 1 part acid, 3 parts water. And it's a good idea to do this inside the pool itself, that way you don't damage the decking. Okay, and I'm going to stir that Biodex up a little bit in here to thicken it up. And now we're ready to go. I'm ready to go. And the water guy is ready to go also. And I'm going to put 1/4 acid, so that's 3 to 1 mixture. A little more. A little bit of the Biodex chemical to thicken it up. And I'm going to stir it up. And I've been doing this every time I refill my flower pot. Same process. I'm going to go ahead and put another pound of soda ash in the basin. And so far it's looking really good. It's coming out really nice. You can see the basin filling with the acid, and the soda ash is neutralizing it, and the Biodex is making it foam up, keeping it from having any fumes. And you can see the plaster is coming out really nice in the areas we've acid washed it already. And that's the best way to prevent streaking, is have the hose guy come right behind you and hose that acid off. And of course I wasn't scrubbing because I was filming, but I usually scrub also while you're hosing it off to prevent that streaking. And I'm pumping out the basin, and I'm going to go ahead and acid wash the basin, and we'll do the whole pool one more time. The complete cycle, everything that we just did. We'll repeat it one more time. Again, I'm going to get this water out of the basin so I can actually acid wash this area down here. I just did this basin area from the deep end to the shallow end. It came out pretty good. Same process we used on the walls. When I finish pouring, he starts the hosing and I start scrubbing. I'm just clearing the bottom part here where the sub pump's at. And we're going to do the whole process one more time. And I got that pretty much cleaned out. It's looking good. So it's ready for the second acid wash treatment. And we just finished the second time around the whole pool. It came out really good. Okay, I'm going to let that fill up. I'll throw 1 more pound of soda ash, neutralize any acid residue as it's filling. And it should be filled by sometime tomorrow. And it actually came out really good.